The radiator in the corner of the small apartment rattled and hissed. It was fighting a losing battle against the bitter wind howling outside the frosted window. Sarah stood by the stove. She stirred the pot of beef stew slowly. The smell of rosemary and thyme filled the kitchen. It was the only warmth in the room. She glanced at the clock on the microwave. 6:30 in the evening. Mark would be home any minute. Her stomach tightened into a hard knot. It happened every day. At this time, the fear, the uncertainty. She wiped her hands on her apron and smoothed down her dress. She wanted everything to be perfect. If the house was clean, if the food was hot, maybe he would be kind tonight. Maybe he would look at her the way he used to. The sound of keys scratching against the lock made her freeze. The door swung open. A gust of freezing air rushed in. It carried the smell of exhaust fumes and city grit. Mark stomped his boots on the mat. He did not look at her. He slammed the door shut. The noise echoed in the small space. "Welcome home, Mark," Sarah said softly. She tried to keep her voice steady. He ignored her. He pulled off his heavy coat and threw it onto the couch. He loosened his tie with jerky, angry movements. "Dinner is ready," she said. "I made the stew you like." Mark walked into the kitchen. He looked at the pot. Then he looked at her. His eyes were cold, colder than the wind outside. "I am not hungry," he said. His voice was flat. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. "But you have to eat," she said. "You have been working all day." Mark laughed. It was a dry, humorless sound. "Working?" he said. "Yes, Sarah. I work. I build things. I create a future." He took a step closer to her. She instinctively took a step back. "What do you do, Sarah?" he asked. "What do you create?" Sarah looked down at the floor. She knew where this was going. It always went here. "Mark, please," she whispered. "Not tonight." He reached into his pocket. He pulled out a crumpled piece of paper. He threw it onto the counter. It landed next to the cutting board. "I went to the clinic today," he said. "I spoke to the doctor myself." Sarah felt the blood drain from her face. Mark continued. "He told me there is nothing wrong with me. My count is perfect." He leaned in close to her face. She could smell the whiskey on his breath. "It is you," he hissed. "It has always been you." Sarah felt tears prick her eyes. "I am sorry, Mark," she said. "We can keep trying. There are other options. We can adopt." Mark slammed his hand onto the counter. The plates rattled. "Adopt," he shouted. "Raise another man's throwaway child. Spend my money on someone else's mistake. Never." He grabbed the pot of stew. Before Sarah could move, he hurled it across the room. It crashed against the wall. Hot gravy and meat splattered everywhere. The ceramic pot shattered into jagged pieces. "Get out," he said. His voice was dangerously quiet now. Sarah trembled. "What?" she asked. "Get out," Mark repeated. "I am done waiting. I am done hoping. I want a family, Sarah. I want a legacy. And you are a dead end. You are a broken machine." He grabbed her arm. His grip was like iron. "Mark, you are hurting me," she cried. "Please stop." He dragged her toward the door. She stumbled over her own feet. She tried to grab the doorframe. He yanked her loose. He opened the front door. The snow was coming down hard now. It was a wall of white. The temperature had dropped. It was well below freezing. "Mark, please," she begged. "I have nowhere to go. I have no money. It is freezing out there." Mark did not care. He shoved her out onto the landing. She fell onto the rough concrete. The cold air hit her like a physical blow. She was only wearing her thin house dress and an apron. Her coat was inside. Her purse was inside. Mark stood in the doorway. He looked down at her with disgust. "Find someone else to support you," he said. "I am canceling the credit cards in the morning. Do not come back." He slammed the door. She heard the deadbolt slide into place. Sarah lay on the concrete for a moment. She was too shocked to move. She stood up slowly. She pounded on the door. "Mark, please!" she screamed. "Just let me get my coat!" "Please, Mark." There was no answer. Only the sound of the wind. She wrapped her arms around herself. Her teeth began to chatter immediately. She had to move. If she stayed here, she would freeze to death. She walked down the stairs. Her slippers were instantly soaked by the snow on the sidewalk. She walked aimlessly, the streetlights blurred through her tears. People walked past her. They were bundled in thick coats and scarves. They looked at her with suspicion, a crazy woman, walking in the snow in an apron. They looked away. They walked faster. No one stopped. Sarah felt her fingers go numb. Her feet felt like blocks of ice. She saw a park bench ahead. It was covered in a layer of fresh snow. She brushed it off with a shaking hand. She sat down. She pulled her knees up to her chest. She tried to preserve whatever heat she had left. She looked at the expensive apartment buildings across the street. Warm yellow lights spilled from the windows. Families were eating dinner. Children were playing. She closed her eyes. She felt a heavy darkness settling over her. It was not just the cold. It was the despair. She was 30 years old. She had no job, no home, no family, and according to the man she loved, she was broken. She buried her face in her hands. She began to sob. Her body shook with violent tremors. She did not hear the low hum of the engine. She did not see the long black car pull up to the curb. She did not notice the back door opening, not until she heard a voice. It was a deep, male voice. "Excuse-me, miss," the voice said. "Are you all right?" Sarah lifted her head slowly. Her neck felt stiff. Her eyelashes were heavy with frozen tears. Through the blur of the falling snow, she saw a silhouette. A man stood before her. He was tall. He wore a long charcoal wool coat that looked expensive. His leather gloves were gripped tight at his sides. But it was his face that caught her attention. He did not look like a predator. He did not look like the men who jeered at women on the street. He looked exhausted. His dark hair was his eyes were wide with panic. "Miss," he said again. His breath plumed in the icy air. "I am sorry to disturb you, but I have a situation." Sarah tried to speak. Her jaw was locked tight from the cold. She could only make a small, croaking sound. Before the man could say more, a piercing scream cut through the night. It came from the open door of the black limousine behind him. Then another scream joined it, and another. It sounded like a choir of heartbreak. The man flinched. He ran a hand through his hair. "My nanny just quit," he said. She got out 3 blocks back. She said she could not handle them. He looked at the car and then back at Sarah. "I have been driving around for an hour. They will not stop crying. My youngest is having a panic attack. I do not know what to do." Sarah looked at him. She saw a desperation that mirrored her own. This man was powerful. His shoes probably cost more than her husband's car. But right now he was just a father, and he was failing. Sarah stood up. Her legs wobbled dangerously. She took a step toward the car. "Why?" she thought. "Why help him?" She was dying of cold. She had been thrown away like trash, but the sound of the children pulled at her. It was an invisible string. She could not ignore it. She walked past the man. He did not stop her. He stepped aside as if she were a doctor entering an operating room. Sarah leaned into the back of the car. The heat hit her face instantly. It smelled of leather and baby powder. Inside, there were 3 children. A boy of about 7 was curled in the corner sobbing. A girl of 5 was screaming and kicking the seat. And in a car seat, a toddler was wailing until his face was purple. They were terrified. They were motherless. Sarah forgot the cold. She forgot Mark. She forgot the snow, soaking her slippers. She climbed inside. She sat on the soft leather seat between the boy and the girl. She whispered. "It is okay." The girl looked at her. She stopped kicking. "Who are you?" the girl hit. "I am a friend," Sarah said. Her voice was raspy but gentle. She reached out and took the girl's hand. "Your daddy is right outside. He is just worried about you." She turned to the toddler. He was still screaming. Sarah unbuckled him. She lifted him out of the seat. He felt heavy and warm against her frozen chest. She rocked him, up and down, rhythmically. She began to hum. It was a song her grandmother used to sing. A low, mournful melody that sounded like the wind in the trees. The toddler stiffened for a second, then he slumped against her shoulder. His breathing slowed. The boy in the corner uncurled himself. He wiped his nose on his sleeve. He looked at Sarah with wide eyes. "Are you an angel?" he asked. Sarah almost laughed. "No, sweetie," she said. "I am just Sarah." Within 2 minutes, the car was silent. The only sound was the heater humming. The toddler was asleep on her shoulder. The girl was holding her hand. The boy was leaning his head on her arm. Sarah felt a strange sensation. For the first time in years, she felt useful. She felt whole, locked up. The man was standing by the open door. He was staring at her. His mouth was slightly open. He looked from his sleeping son to Sarah. "How did you do that?" he whispered. "I have not heard silence in 6 months. Since their mother passed." Sarah looked down. "I just listened to them," she said. "They just wanted to be held." The man nodded slowly. He looked at her closely for the first time. He saw the thin house dress. He saw the blue tint of her lips. He saw the snow melting in her hair. His eyes widened in horror. "My God," he said. "You are freezing." He stripped off his heavy wool coat. He leaned in and draped it around her shoulders. It was heavy and warm. It smelled like cedar and expensive cologne. "What are you doing out here without a coat?" he asked. His voice was sharp with concern. Sarah felt the tears return. The adrenaline was fading. The cold was seeping back into her bones. "I have nowhere to go," she whispered. "My husband, he threw me out." She could not say the rest. She could not say the word Barren. The man's jaw tightened. A dark shadow passed over his face. He looked at the snowy street. Then he looked at his children clinging to this stranger. He made a decision. He stepped into the car. He sat on the jump seat, facing her. He closed the door. The world outside disappeared. "My name is James Sterling," he said, "and I am not leaving you on this bench." He tapped on the glass partition. "Driver," he said. "Take us home." Sarah panicked. "No," she said. "I cannot impose. I am a stranger." James looked at her. His eyes were intense. "You are the only person who has made my children stop crying since my wife died. You are not a stranger, Sarah. Tonight, you are a miracle, and we take care of miracles." The car began to move. It glided smoothly over the snow-covered streets. Sarah leaned back against the seat. The warmth of the children pressed against her. The heavy wool coat covered her like a shield. For the first time that night, she stopped shaking. She looked out the window. The city lights blurred into streaks of gold. She was leaving the cold behind. But she did not know where she was going, or what this powerful man would expect in return. The elevator ride was silent. It moved so smoothly, Sarah could hardly tell they were rising. She watched the numbers climb. 10, 20, 40, 50. Her ears popped. She was still holding the sleeping toddler. His heavy head rested on her collarbone. The 2 older children stood close to her legs. They were like little satellites orbiting a new planet. The doors slid open. Sarah gasped. She had expected an apartment. This was a palace in the sky. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed the entire Manhattan skyline. The Empire State Building glowed in the distance. But inside it was cold. Not temperature cold like the street, but emotional cold. The furniture was white and sharp. There were no toys on the floor, no family photos on the walls. It looked like a museum where no one was allowed to touch anything. James stepped out first. He turned to her. "Welcome to the penthouse," he said. He sounded tired. He sounded lonely. A woman in a black uniform hurried into the room. She looked stressed. "Mr. Sterling?" she said. "Thank goodness. I was about to call the police. I did not know where you went with the children." James raised a hand. "It is fine, Martha," he said. "We are fine. This is Sarah. She is a guest. Please prepare the guest. Sweet, and bring some warm clothes. Anything you can find that might fit her." Martha looked at Sarah. She looked at the dirty apron, the wet slippers, the disheveled hair. But then she saw the sleeping baby in Sarah's arms, her expression soft. "Yes, sir," she said. "Right away." Sarah carried the baby to the nursery. It was the only room with color, soft blues and greens. She laid him down in the crib. He stirred but did not wake. She covered him with a blanket. She smoothed his hair. The older boy and girl watched her from the doorway. "Will you be here in the morning?" the boy asked. His voice trembled. Sarah looked at him. She did not know the answer. She looked at James standing behind them. James nodded. "Yes," he said firmly. "She will be here. Go to sleep now." When the children were finally tucked in, Sarah walked back to the living room. She felt like an intruder now. Without the children, she felt exposed. She saw her reflection in the dark window. She looked like a ghost. James was standing by the fireplace. He held 2 glasses of amber liquid. He held one out to her. "Drink this," he said. "It will warm you up." Sarah took the glass. Her hands were shaking. She took a sip. The brandy burned her throat in a good way. It settled the nerves in her stomach. James sat on the white sofa. He gestured for her to sit opposite him. Sarah sat on the edge of the cushion. She was afraid to dirty the fabric. James looked at her. His eyes were kind but searching. "Tell me," he said. "Tell me about the man who did this to you." Sarah looked into her glass. She saw Mark's angry face. She heard the crash of the stew pot. "He wanted a family," she whispered. "He wanted a legacy, and I could not give it to him." She looked up at James. Tears spilled over her cheeks. "I am barren," she said. The word tasted like ash in her mouth. "I cannot have children." Mark said, "I am a broken machine." He said, "I am a dead end." She waited for James to look away. She waited for the pity or the disgust. But James did not look away. He leaned forward. He placed his glass on the table. "Sarah," he said. His voice was low and intense. "I have all the money in the world. I have a company that builds skyscrapers. I have a legacy that will last 100 years. He pointed toward the hallway where the children slept. "But in there," he said, "in those rooms, I am a failure. I can buy them anything, but I cannot make them feel safe. I cannot make them stop crying. My wife died 6 months ago, and I have been drowning ever since." He looked her in the eye. "You walked into a stranger's car and did in 5 minutes what I could not do in 6 months. You are not broken, Sarah. You are gifted. Biology is just plumbing. Motherhood is a spirit, and you have more of it than anyone I have ever met." Sarah felt a sob catch in her throat. No one had ever spoken to her like this. Mark had made her feel small. James made her feel necessary. "I want to offer you a job," James said. "Not just a job, a life. Stay here. Be their nanny. Be their guardian. I will pay you triple whatever you think is fair. You will have your own suite. You will have respect, and you will never have to worry about a roof over your head again." Sarah stared at him. It sounded like a dream, but the fear was still there. "What about Mark?" she asked. "He is my husband. He will be angry." James's expression hardened. His eyes turned into flint. "Let him be angry," James said. "If he comes near you, if he tries to hurt you again, he will learn that there are bigger sharks in this ocean than him." He stood up. He extended his hand to her. "Do we have a deal, Sarah?" Sarah looked at his hand. It was large and steady. She thought of the cold bench. She thought of the snow. She thought of the 3 little faces sleeping down the hall. She reached out. She took his hand. "Deal," she whispered. At that moment, the intercom on the wall buzzed. It was a harsh sound in the quiet room. James frowned. He walked over and pressed the button. "Yes," he said. The doorman's voice crackled through the speaker. "Mr. Sterling, I am sorry to disturb you. But there is a man down here, Ace. He says he is looking for his wife. He says he saw her get into your car. He says his name is Mark." Sarah froze. The glass slipped from her fingers. It hit the white rug. It did not break. but the stains spread like blood. "He is here," she whispered. James looked at the intercom. Then he looked at Sarah. He did not look afraid. He looked ready. "Send him up," James said. The elevator doors slid open with a soft chime. Mark stepped out. He looked out of place in the pristine white foyer. His coat was wet with melting snow. His face was flushed red from the cold and the whiskey. He balled his hands into fists when he saw Sarah. She was standing behind the white sofa. She looked different. She was wearing a soft cashmere sweater that belonged to James. She held her head a little higher. "There you are," Mark growled. He marched into the room. His wet boots left muddy tracks on the marble floor. "I thought you were smart, Sarah. But you are just a fool. You jump into a car with a rich stranger. You think he cares about you." He laughed. It was a cruel sound. "He just wants a maid, Sarah. Or a mistress. You are nothing to him, just like you were nothing to me." He reached out to grab her arm. "Come on," he said. "We are going home. You are going to apologize for making a scene." Sarah flinched. But before Mark could touch her, a hand clamped onto his shoulder. It was James. He did not look like a tired father anymore. He looked like a titan of industry. He looked like a man who could crush companies with a phone call. "Remove your hand," James said. His voice was like grinding stones. "Or I will remove it for you." Mark spun around. He tried to puff out his chest. He tried to look intimidating. But next to James, he looked like a child throwing a tantrum. "This is my wife," Mark spat. "This is my property. She is sick in the head. She is Barren. She cannot have children, so she is trying to steal yours." James looked at Mark with pure pity. He adjusted his cuffs calmly. "You are a small man," James said. "You measure a woman's worth by her biology. You think a family is made of DNA and blood. That is why you are alone, Mark. And that is why you will always be alone." Mark sneered. "I am not alone," he said. "I am going to find a real woman, one who works properly. One who can give me a son." Sarah stepped out from behind the sofa. Her heart was pounding against her ribs, but her voice was steady. "No, Mark," she said. Mark looked at her in surprise. She had never said no to him before. Sarah took a deep breath. She looked at the man she had spent 10 years trying to please, the man who had thrown her into the snow. "I am not broken," she said. "My body might be different, but my heart works just fine. I loved you, Mark. I would have done anything for you, but you did not want a wife. You wanted a photocopy machine for your own ego." She took a step closer to James. She stood beside him. She did not hide behind him. "I am not coming home," she said. "I am home!" Mark's face turned purple. "You cannot do this!" he shouted. "I will call the police. I will tell them you kidnapped her," James said. He pulled a sleek black phone from his pocket. "I have security cameras in the lobby," James continued. "I have cameras in the elevator. And I have the best lawyers in New York City. If you do not get back in that elevator in 10 seconds, I will have you arrested for trespassing and assault. And I will make sure every employer in this city knows exactly what kind of man you are." Mark froze. He looked at James. He saw the steel in his eyes. He looked at the luxury around him. He knew he could not win this fight. Money was a language Mark understood. And James was speaking it fluently. Mark sneered one last time. "Fine," he said. "Keep her. She is useless anyway." He turned around. He stomped back to the elevator. He punched the button violently. The doors opened. He stepped inside. He did not look back. The doors closed. The silence returned to the penthouse. Sarah let out a long breath. Her legs gave way. James caught her. He held her steady until she found her balance. "Are you all right?" he asked. Sarah looked at him. She felt light. She felt unburdened. "I think so," she whispered. "I have nothing now. No husband. No marriage." James smiled. It was a genuine warm smile. "You are wrong," he said. He gestured toward the hallway. 3 small heads were peeking around the corner. The children had woken up. They had heard the shouting. They looked scared. But when they saw Sarah, they ran to her. The little girl grabbed her hand. The boy hugged her waist. The toddler was standing in the hallway, rubbing his eyes. Sarah knelt down. She opened her arms. They buried themselves in her embrace. She smelled their shampoo. She felt their warmth. She felt their little hearts beating against hers. It was not biology. It was not DNA. It was love, pure and simple. James stood over them. He looked at the scene. For the first time in 6 months, the house did not feel empty. "Welcome home, Sarah," James said softly. Sarah looked up at him through her tears. "Thank you," she said. Outside, the snow continued to fall on New York City. It covered the dirty streets. It covered the cold, gray concrete. It made everything new again. Sarah held the children tight. She was not a broken machine. She was a mother, and she had finally found her family.